Hello and welcome to This Machine Kills Fascists, a new Netrunner YouTube channel. I don't know if that will last more than one video, but we'll give it a go. This is a tournament report. There's a YouTuber whose videos I keep getting recommended called Margin Bay, and he does these storytime videos. He talks through basically he went to a tournament. He talks through all of his games. He talks through a bit of the hustle and bustle of getting there and such. So I figured I'd give that a go, but specifically for Netrunner. So yeah, the last weekend I went to the Cambridge H1CO. Cambridge is one of the two main cities that the members of EA Sports play in. Is where I work, and I play with them in the pub on a Monday night. Um, so broadly going into this, I feel like I know the meta. I know who's going to be there, and I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a turnout of about like 10 to 12 people, and I'm pretty sure I know exactly which decks 10 of those people are going to play. So feeling good. So I wake up on the Saturday morning at about 6 a.m. and I'm looking at the ceiling and I'm just thinking to myself, I need to tech against my teammates. So I leap out of bed, go over to my desk, sit here, and I'm thinking through what they're going to play. So my two decks are a sports metal deck and a Hashiko deck. And the Hashiko deck is the kind of Ashniko decks that's been doing the rounds that me and Cobra Bubbles built. And that doesn't need any changes. That's fine. I'm running like a 46 card, 14 influence version of it, but it doesn't matter. The like last two cards of the deck are like gonna rotate every 2 weeks, and that's fine. The sports mode deck that I'm playing is a new brew that I've not really played a lot of games with. It's like one every game I've played with at the pub, which is like 6 or 7 games. It won like 5 games on JNet, and that's about all I've done of it. Ashbo, who has picked it up and tried it, says that it's like, oh, the worst deck he's ever seen. It's totally unplayable. So we're going in, we're testing the sports mail. But the thing that I'm anticipating is that there's going to be a lot of 419. So Ash Nico and 419 are basically the two runner decks that I'm expecting. Ash Nico is like the favorite of some people in EA Sports. And then there's this 419 deck that the other half of the meta have been working on for a little bit. They really like the deck, and I've had trouble into it on a variety of decks. Like I was playing Ob before, and yeah, the 419 made me give up on the Ob. It was not good. So yeah, so I'm thinking about this 419 list, and it's very dependent on our Amakua. Um, and so I'm thinking Hammer. That's like the card that people are playing at the moment that I haven't really played any with. And this sports deck's got like some spare influence. The sports deck is basically a PD deck, um, but I just wanted more money. PD felt too poor whenever I was playing it. Corporate Hospitality feels great for like better than the PD ability. Um, and I want to play the Hollow Man, which was, as we'll learn, probably a mistake. But yeah, that was the thinking going in. So I get up, I make a few changes. I put in a hammer. I think I put in a virus. Try and improve my odds in the 419 matchup. Um, and then I have to like wait around for like 4 hours. Cambridge isn't very far away, so I got up at 6, and then we didn't leave till like half 10. Uh, but yeah, so I'm waiting around, and then Cobra Bubbles, Kami, and Ashbo turn up, and we drive over, and we're all talking about our decks. I'm being a little secretive. I've not said much about um, the changes I've made to the sports metal, um, but there's already starting to down myself just a little bit. Kami's playing like his own stuff. Ashbo, who I thought might be uh, he's on Ash Nico, Kobo's on Ash Nico, but they're looking at R plus, both of them. But Ashbro actually no, Ashbro's playing PE. He's the new tempo PE, which I've kind of written off. So Um, but we get there, we arrive, and there are 20 people there already. I'm I was expecting to like know everybody and to know exactly what decks I was going to play against, but I did not. The reality of it was that there were loads of people, and that was great. We had a really good time. It was like the room felt full. It was noisy. It was like gonna be great. I mean, like, yeah, I was really happy. Like, Jonald, who did quite well, he traveled like 4 hours each way to make it, which is really sick. So yeah, we're turning up, and I'm chatting with some people, and I get chatting with this one guy called Alex, who's I think come from uh like Aldershot Way, like around that area, wherever it is that GCHQ is based. I can't remember the name, but anyway. Um, yeah, so chatting with him and his friend, and we're talking, and then we get paired up round one. So uh, we sit down, put down our playmats, and saying Sports and Toshiko. And he is playing Kit and Ob. And the first thing he tells me is that he's not very good at the Ob and he doesn't have enough confidence for it. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, that's fine. But we roll, and it's I'm corping first, so I'm playing the sports mode deck first, proper outing, and against Kit. Now, I don't have a very high opinion of the Kit deck at this point. I'm very much like I don't know. I just have like I having played it and got screwed by the Spark of Inspiration thing. Like that's just not the kind of Netrunner I'm comfortable playing. Where there's like some percentage of your games where you just like completely fall off. This wasn't one of those kick games. This was one of those kick games where everything goes exactly right for you. The first thing you like turn one, sure gamble, spark of inspiration to the Lobosoman, and uh, yeah, it's like really good. And uh I'd jammed behind a piece of ice. I'd put I think a luminol behind two pieces of ice on the remote. And I was like, if he gets to the Lobosoman, he won't have the clicks or the credits to get through and break everything, and like I'll be all right. So I think I'm gonna score this luminol. And his turn one is sure gamble, spark of inspiration, trick shot. And I have an iced R&D, and he runs R&D, and he steals 2 points, and he's still got 6 credits, and he runs the remote, breaks both ice, and gets in and steals the agenda. So turn one, he's on 4 points, but I've had two sports triggers, so I've got some money. I've got agendas in hand. I'm like spooked out at this point. We keep playing. I managed to like ice up, but Loba Summon Kit is like really good pressure this early on. He's still got money. He's got 4 points, so he's not rushing. He's not making mistakes. I eventually get to the point where I've put two drafters on R&D, and neither of them is rest. And I've got two ice on HQ. And at some point, he runs R&D. Got the two ice there. Doesn't have the Orca installed. Turns out the Orca was in hand from turn one, so when he sparked, he like knew what he was going to get. But the Orca is like really clunky and difficult to actually play from hand. Um, so yeah, he runs, breaks the first drafter, continues the run, breaks the and counts the second drafter. And I've scored up to 4 points at this point. I'm pretty good, but I've also stored an Ichor in the bin. Um, this is something that I found myself doing quite a lot with the sports deck. Is essentially like um, putting your agendas in archives, because like you're not icing up well enough to stop them getting into centrals. So if they've got run events and stuff, they're not gonna check archives. And if like we're ever in trouble, we've got corporate hospitality. So um, yeah, I've been like storing agendas in archives quite a bit, which is a play I like to do anyway. That's just like something I like to do when playing Netrunner because it feels cheeky. Um, so uh, I yeah, he breaks. So the draft of fires. Um, um, looking at my heap, I've got an agenda in the remote. Let me heap, and I'm like, I'm gonna leave the Ikwa in the bin. I'm gonna pick up this hedge fund so I have enough money to start rushing out because he's not gonna run it. Oh, super vital element of the story. I don't have spin doctors in my deck. There is no. There are two ways of getting agendas back from archives. One of them is corporate hospitality, and the other one is drafter. And there's already some corporate hospitalities in the bit, so not picking up this one here is kind of not picking up it for the rest of the game. So I go, so I fire, but I greed the hedge fund, and next click he runs archives. He like dirty laundries archives. It's his last click, so he can't steal it. Berserker bin. So I manage to draw. It's not the corporate hospitality. First click draw. It's not the corporate hospitality. Third click, I'm gonna draw just in case. It is the corporate hospitality, but I can't play it. um, he runs archives and wins the game, which is definitely entirely like a me problem. If I'd picked it up and put it down in the remote, I think I could have scored it out behind like the Managar Manoetic. And we would have been fine. Yeah, so I called my shot. I called it wrong. And sports loses its first game of the day um, against Kit. And I hadn't, yeah, basically the thing I learned in that game, respect the Kit matchup. Um, so then we go and we play our Hashiko versus Orb. And it's like a pretty straightforward game for the Hashiko deck. I set everything up. There's a point where basically he's got two unrest dice on HQ, and he's like over installed the innermost at some point to get the second one. And I have a fairly strong read that the innermost ice now is Stavka. So I'm looking at it, um, and I'm he can afford to res it. Um, and with Ashniko in particular, our tech against Stavka is like Ashen or labor rights. I've got labor rights in hand, so my plan is this Stavka's gonna fire. I'm gonna get my gens back. I'll get my programs back, reinstall them. Jobs are good, and I can get a good HQ run with get the Steve trigger, um, and that'll be fine. Uh, he reses it, and then realizes that he does not have a free coster on the board, so he cannot staff run me, which I didn't notice either. We were both playing around staff run, and neither of us noticed that he didn't have staff run. So we, I can break one of the subroutines and spend all my money, or I can let them both fire. I do break one of the subs, and I still like claim rights back, get the other one. It's all fine. Um, and then yeah, I go on, steal the rest of the points that I need to steal. So that was game one. Runner split. I think we really only run a split round one, which surprises me because I think runner is much stronger than corp at the moment. Um, and yeah, uh, lunch break, get some coffee, come back, and game two, I'm against XCAM, who that's a name I know from somewhere. I'm pretty sure we must have played against each other on JNet, but I think this guy is hilarious. Really funny person to play against. Like lots of quips and like jokes as we're playing. It's super fun. Games. Uh, First game, I'm Hashiko into his Asa group, which like there's been some debate in EA Sports about what the like how good that matchup is. Lots of people have like different feelings. I think like it's a fine matchup for us. Like everything's a fine matchup for Ashniko, but this is like this is okay. Early Banha is important. Um, so yeah, I'm mulligan for Banha, install Banha turn one. Um, I'm checking the remote, staying on top of stuff. Uh, and he gets out to like an early lead, but I get wheels like turn two or three, and then it's really easy for me to like check remotes. Yeah. Cohort is like the big threat for me. I think you can like do a lot of unexpected stuff with cohort. So I'm making sure to check new installables, and if I can't check everything that's on the table, I'm running archives. If there's face downs. I just don't want to get to the point where he's scoring out because of it. Like the the turns where the ASA player like installs a cohort when they've already got a face down, they like I don't know. People don't plan around you running archives. It's like that secret bit of text on cohort is like your next turn doesn't work if they run archives. And so yeah, a couple of points I think I catch him out. Still 4 points. Uh Ashen. So I've got my value back and I'm just like sat there looking at the board and I go, okay, I'm now like fully set up, totally in control of the board. Um, been trashing stuff. There's a card on the table behind two pieces of ice. It's been there forever, really early on. And I'm thinking to myself, is this a defensive upgrade? Like this feels like it's a Managarm. And then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, maybe it's not a Managarm because he scored out in other servers. So there's something in this server that he's not wanted to res for the entire game, and he's not. And but like I don't know what it is. Can't figure it out. It's not definitely not a cohort. I'm wondering if it's some kind of like tech card or like just I don't know like a Mobile or something. Not sure. Um. So yeah, I'm puzzling that through. When he he says advance, puts two counters on this card behind two pieces of ice and then he plays active policing to over-install the outermost piece of ice and install a new piece of ice, and pays the two to make it. And then he goes to pay the two to make it so that I only have two clicks on my turn when he goes, ah, shit. And he's just realized that he doesn't have enough money to res the card that he's just installed and score out next turn. So he's thinking about it. And he goes, "Sorry, can I take that back?" I go, "Yeah, yeah, that's fine," because this is like a fairly casual CO. And so you can just see like the look on his face, and I'm now going, "Oh, that is the Aqua." Like no doubt in my mind. Like I was like, "Do I run centrals? I've got twin charges. I could go centrals." But now I'm like, "Cool, the wind's in the remote," and he knows that I know, so it's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, I kind of wish he hadn't like we both wished he hadn't done that because it like was a very pivotal point in the game. But he goes, right, okay, well, I've got to commit to this and does the does the play. Um or he like single advances, hopes I don't maul the seamless, and installs. So I'm looking at the table, I've got two clicks, got Hannah installed, and I'm thinking and I need to be able to score the Aqua. Um so I'm thinking about it. And I'm wondering, like, I've got Banha. So I Banha that remote server. It's not going to cost me any money to get in. But he's got like 8 credits or something. And I'm like, cool. I think it's a Mick. I think the Mick is the card that like causes me the most problems. It's really nice of like the act of policing out a Mick. So I'm like, okay, do I lose? Is that the end of the game if he's got Seamus in hand? And it's not. I can Hannah run the remote with two clicks spare, Banha through the mic. He pops the mic, which says lose a click or end the run. Um, Oh, no, there's a second piece of ice there. I need one more credit. So first click for a credit. Uh, Wheels, Banhart through the mic. He pops it, and I let it end the run because then I still have one click spare, which I use to pop Hannah to gain an additional click and then run back, and then I get in and I steal the Ikoa. So I win that game, and yeah, partly down to his misplay. I think he, yeah, I think I had odds on to win that game anyway. But there were definitely outs he had if he didn't make that mistake. Um, and we go on, we play our second game, Essa versus Sports. So my sports medal again. And I get off to a much stronger start. Like I've got all the agendas in HQ. Essa's just like chucking stuff I don't care about into the bin. And I score to 4 points really quickly. Um, and I'm looking at my hand and I have not seen an Ikwa. There's no Ikwas in the bin. Uh, I don't have like Spin Doctor. But like the thing that the deck wants to do, I think I've got like Hollow Man on the remote or something. But yeah, the thing the deck wants to do at this point, score out an Ikua, click win the game. But I can't do that. Okay, I've got to score out 4 agendas. And as we go in, he just starts laying on the pressure, um, chucking loads of stuff into archives. And eventually I scored 6 points and I've got the winning agenda in hand. Uh, I've got Vitruvius in hand, and I've got the Hollow Man on the board, so I'm going to be able to score out next turn. And so I'm just like holding on. And there are 8 cards in R&D, 2 Ikos still in there. And he is like, I'm an Aaron, not sure what to do. And then he goes, okay, he's got a nuker on the table. Click nuker. It trashes. Looking at his hand. Install nuker. Click nuker. He's drawn 6 cards, but he's only got 1 click left. Like if even if he runs archives with even if he runs R&D with finality, like I've won this game. So I'm kind of smiling to myself. Uh, Plays running hot, gains 3 clicks. Clicks nuker. Um, and he's got 1 card left. Like he's drawn like 10 cards now this turn. I sabotage 2, and he plays the finality with like 2 clicks spare. So he runs, steals 3 points, wins the game. Um, which is like tragic for me, but also like looking back at it, he just like he just had all of the tools to do it. There wasn't like outside the turn, I was sat there being like, "Oh, I've won this game," but in actuality, I like there's no shot I win that game. Um, and this is like the recurring theme that I keep coming back to with the sports deck is gets to 5 or 6 points and then loses. Um, and yeah, just really struggling to get that last thing across. And yeah, so that's the end of round 2. So we're 2-2, which I don't hate. Hajika's won 2, and Sports has lost 2. Um, so I'm feeling down on the Sports. It was the wrong call. um, and I feel like the changes I made to include the tech did also like hurt it a little bit. But you do what you can, you keep going. So game 3, I get paired up against Rotage. Now I've played against him before. I played against him at UK Nationals 2022, which was a one of my like probably my favorite game of that tournament. I loved it so much because I was playing Sable. I was playing like Virtuoso Sable, and he was playing Program Trashing, which I didn't have any tools to deal with. Definitely didn't have any practice with at that time. I'd like just started playing in 2022. And so yeah, I sit down across from him. Very early on, he trashes my uh like my Fractor, and probably my Dakota as well. Like I just don't have anything. But my favorite card in Netrunner, Boomerang, saves the day. It keeps me in that game For the entire thing, we go to tie up and I win. And the two of us were both just like sweating. That was like one of my favorite Netrunner games. So I really like Rotage. He's a nice guy. Um, I know that he likes to brew something like a bit spicy. And often that's like a Wayland thing, I think. So I sit down, he's playing Pravdavost. Now I know there's a Pravdavost deck that's like doing the rounds at the moment that like won a tournament and was deck list of the week, and I did not read it. I was like, this is one person's like thing, you know. Some people they find a deck that really works for them. That's that. Nobody else is gonna play it or like do well with it. So I just like didn't really. I built a Pravdivos deck. Like that was the first deck that I like built and was proud of. Cobra Rolls and I worked on one that was doing the NAPD Cordon strat. Um, but like it wasn't that good a deck in the end, and like yeah. So I'm kind of like a little down on Prav. I do love Prav, but it's bittersweet. Um, And so yeah, he sits down, he's playing this, and I'm like, okay, I don't really have any idea of what to expect. And we're playing, and I'm doing really well. Like it's playing log jams and advanced ball ice and stuff. Um, and it doesn't feel very good. And I'm yeah, just like walking all over it, gets set up pretty quick. And then there's one turn where he puts agenda in the remote, advances it, and big oppos me. I don't have Hannah down. There's no, and I've got like exactly 15 credits. Uh, so I have two options: clear all four tags, let him score his artificial crypto crash, and accept that he's just done 15 credits worth of damage to me and scored 2 points. And that would be him going for he'd already scored a Bologna, I think, so that's him going to 5 points. Um, and I go like, I think that I can like win the game if I just steal this agenda, float the tags, do some other stuff. And that was a mistake. That was the wrong thing to think. Um, the yeah, he played self growth program and he played other tag punishment cards. I ran R&D. I saw three cards at the top of the deck. Shipment from the Disbrisk, Shipment from the Disbrisk, and Starlit Night. And I go, oh, oh no. And like 2 turns later, he's won the game. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Don't know what you count that one down to. Like, I actually think looking back on it, like Ashley can afford to go to 0 credits and then like bounce back. I think my bounce back would have been strong. And yeah, not being tagged very important in Netrunner, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, I think I agreed with that. I think it was literally like overconfidence. I think it was like a my good deck against this jank deck. I don't need to clear tags. You do need to clear tags. Um, and then so that was Hashiko's first loss of the day. Felt bad. Felt really bad. Um, and then we move on to sports versus lat. This is my second shaper matchup, which like I haven't really practiced. Nobody in EA Sports is playing reg or like normal shaper. We've got Arasana players, but we don't have anyone playing like lat or kit. Um, and yeah, so um, I'm going fast. Like the sports draw is good. The sports draw is really good for me. I'm feel like I'm doing well, and I'm looking over at his board, and he's Aesops and coalescences and stuff, and I'm like, that's too slow, my guy. Like I'm gonna have won this game by the time that you get going. So I put the Ikura in the remote. I'm on 4 points. Stick the Ikura in the remote. Feeling good. Then he says, sorry, end of your turn, I'll pop the SMC uh, for a turbine. And I'm like, he doesn't have, he's got his barrier. He's got his barrier breaker and his sentry breaker down. But he doesn't have his buzzsaw down. And I go like, oh no, oh dear. A lot of my eyes just got a lot worse real quick. Uh, okay. And then he's like, uh, SMCs for coalescence, get some money, sells it to Aesops, play buzzsaw from hand. And literally in the turn, from the end of my turn to the end of his first click, I went from like, my guy, you're too slow. You can't win this game, to I can't win this game. um, and I feel like the turbine rig is obviously good, and there's a lot of decks that can get the turbine rig set up by like turn 7 or 8. So I feel like just rushing out doesn't make sense because unless you've got some trick to beat it, you're not gonna. And like, I think I know I took him one time to stop him getting in, but like it cost him 2 credits or something. Um, and he wins the game. Steals the Echo out of the remote, trashes all my stuff, and I don't recover. He just walks all over me for the rest of the game. So Sports Metal has not won a game, and now I'm 2-4, and I feel bad about it. And so I'm chatting to other people, uh, and turns out like all of EA Sports is doing bad. This tournament that was supposed to be, or like felt like it was going to be just just like us. Um, Turns out none of us are doing well, and there have been loads of team kills in there. Like all of us, like loads of the old guys, all played each other and all split, basically. Every time two people from our team played against each other, they split, and yeah, so we're all in the middle or bottom of the rankings. Um, and so I play my last round of the day against Count Zero, Joe, who I think I played my first ever competitive Netrunner game against. Stevenage Circuit Open in 2022. Um, and I really like Joe. I think he's really, really lovely. And I particularly remember, yeah, that first game we played against each other, where I played as McCaffrey and I did not know what I was doing. I did not know my triggers. It was like the deck list of the week or something. Metropole Grid had played it and done well with it as a circuit opener. So I was like, oh, this must be a good deck. And I like criminal cards. I like playing Boomerang, and this deck lets me play 100 copies of Boomerang. So let's do it. Um, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was missing my triggers, and Joe was very, very good to me. I think he said at the end like, "Oh, as for your festival, that's brave," which it was. It was just stupid. So I had a lot of fun, and he was really good and made it really fun. So got a lot of time for Joe. Uh, and yeah, so we play our games. I play Hosh versus his outfit, and I've not seen Joe's outfit, and I don't think much of it. I'm like, okay, what have we got? We've got like Lady Killer outfit, and we've got just like Big Deal outfit. Um, I play. I'm like, I'm gonna be fine. I'll just like poke it and see what comes up. Banhar's really good. I steal 2 points on like turn 1. Um, yeah, just feeling like I know what's going on. And at some point, I access public trail, and I go, "Oh, this is a Joe deck. I forgot. He's playing public trail end of the line." Um, and so I go like, "Okay, right. Got to start respecting that." There were definitely turns early in the game where I probably could have just lost to a flat line if he'd had both the pieces in his opening hand. So, uh, yeah, start respecting that. And I go in and I get more down, and I'm like, more up a couple of times, and I'm like, sweet. Like, I I've got Steel Skin in hand. I can stay on 5 cards. I'm wearing him out. He can't win this game, or me. And he's on like 3 points of an Atlas with the counter, and I'm on 5 points. And um, he starts playing Trojan Horse, and he plays it twice, and he keeps trashing my breakers, and he keeps getting away with it, trashing my breakers, and I'm like, I I need to do the diamond. I need to be able to basically in the Ashen Eco deck, you've got four recursion cards. Uh, Ashen Epilogue, the big one, two copies of Labor Rights, and DJ Fenris for Steve. And what's really important is that you need to DJ Fenris for Steve. That's like because what the game plan is, right? Is we're playing the price and we're playing moshing and we're playing everything. Um, and normally you're really scared to lose your recursion pieces. You're like, uh, if you play the price and you hit the ashen, like you're sad. But also if you draw your recursion pieces in your opening hand or in like the first 5 turns of the game, you're also sad to see them because you don't need them. Um, and the thing that Steve Cambridge does is that you can run HQ, Steve Cambridge for your labor rights, play labor rights, and get Ashen back in, and like whatever important cards are back in the deck. So normally it's like uh Ashen two economy cards or Ashen economy card and like the one key resource I haven't installed. Haven't installed my twinning yet. Get that back because it went in the bin. Um, and that's normally the game plan. And he starts trashing my programs, and I start going. I can't Steve if I can't get into HQ. Um, so I'm getting spooked. But uh, he starts by getting rid of my echelons. So I'm like, I think. And eventually I get back in, and I labor rights back in my echelon, and I get the Ashen, and he trashes my echelon again. And I play the Ashen, and it doesn't. They don't get RFG'd. Neither of them gets RFG'd. So I'm like, okay. Eventually come back around, install it, feeling all right. And then just like the turn after I Ashen or something, I like Banha through uh, something, just checking singles on HQ, getting Steve value. Got one card in hand after the Banha, and Steve's gonna be two cards in hand. Uh, and as I'm doing it, Joe says, "Come on, Snare." And I remember it's a Joe deck. Of course, his influence is three Public Trail, three Snare, and a couple pieces of ice. Uh, and I realized that there were loads of turns during this game where I could have just flatlined because I was respecting Public Trail end of the line, but I wasn't always respecting Snare. Anyway, he whiffs the Snare. Rest of the game, I respect Snare. If he hadn't said it out loud, then maybe I would have lost. Because of the like program crashing stuff in this game, I didn't install my twinning first time around. I like just didn't ever get to the point where I could install the twinning. Um, so I don't get it until after I've ashened and I've gone through like half the deck. Um, so I'm like not closing this game out. I got 5 points really early, uh, but I'm not closing it out. I'm like keeping R&D locked, but only single card lock, and he's drawing through it. And eventually he scores whatever the bad publicity 2-2 is that they've put in Borealis. So he goes to 5 points, and he's got an Atlas counter, and he can score the other one. So he goes from not having a chance of winning the game to really having a chance of winning the game. So I have one turn left to win. So I think I know most of the cards in HQ. I don't think there are agendas in HQ. So I run R&D. I just like bank whatever the stuff in my hand is, doesn't matter. And I only get one twin encounter. So I see two cards. And it's not in there. So that's bad. So there's literally like nothing left I can do to win this game. Uh, so I just run archives because I've been mooring him for the whole game, and that's like 5 points in archives. I win the game. Yeah, there was a Battle Spire in Archives, and I get it, win the game. Uh, so yeah, scary. Then we play our Sports into 419. So the Sports into 419, that was basically the deck that I'd been like teching against. Um, I was worried about the 419 deck. And like none of my tech came up. Like turns out if you include two tech cards in your deck, it's not going to help the matchup unless you're Ob and you can fetch them. Um, so yeah, played against it, scored out. Like I don't like the economic pressure from the ID ability isn't that bad, but you're playing around things like diversion of funds and windows of opportunity. Um, and then yeah, I score out to four. I put the Icarus in the remote. Uh, I can win next turn. He catalogs R&D. I don't think there are that many agendas in R&D. He looks at them. He sighs. Moves them around. Puts them back on top of the deck. He offers me the handshake. He won the game. um, yeah, he stole 2 points off of R&D and wins the game. So yeah, basic end of the day, 3-1 on Hashiko, 0-4 on Sports Mail. So the Sports Mail is a unmitigated failure. That's not getting published. But that's fine. Like we learned something. I didn't think it was HB for a long time, and I still don't think it's HB. I don't think they're it at the moment. The R plus decks did really well on the day. Donald demonstrated that you can still do really well with Ob. Um, and yeah, so I'm like happy that Ashnika is still good. I love that deck. I think it's really fun to play. Um, and then yeah, we go. That's the end of it. And there's a cut to top three. And I'm like, everyone's gonna have to be heading back home. I went to the tournament in Nottingham a couple of months ago. No one stayed for the cut. Me and the other Norwich people who'd like driven 4 hours stayed for the cut, but nobody else did. Um, so I'm like, okay, well, everyone's gonna leave. Three people leave, and they come back 15 minutes later with beer, um, or cider, I think. Anyway, and everyone's sticking around. Tom and I play some games of Star Wars Unlimited, which seems bad, um, but we had fun. And then yeah, we watched some of the cut. Ob versus I think like a soccer esque Hashiko. Hashiko wins games. The whole cut's Hashiko, which is funny. Um, no EA Sports in the cut, very sad. And John writes a funny deck list right up calling us out, which is also very good. Love a bit of inter-team rivalry. Um, and then yeah, and I'm like, well, we should go for dinner. Everyone's gonna leave because like it's a long drive home. Uh, 16 people come for dinner. Got to book a big table. It's like the worst restaurant you've ever seen as well. Or not the like the food is nice, but like it was like a tacky restaurant. They put dry ice on the table for like no discernible reason. Um, the like wall behind me was covered in like fake roses. Um, but I had a vegetarian burger. It was nice. Pay for my food. Drive home. Brew decks on the drive home with my mates. Like we're just it's like an hour and a half ride home probably, and like in that time we go through all of our games, talk through all of our plays, build a new deck that we think is gonna really solve the meta, which is super fun. Like, yeah, it's difficult to like articulate sometimes how meaningful it is to play those games with your friends and like to travel together for them. Like, yeah, just like going and like I bumped into a bunch of people I knew. There's a bunch of people who traveled to Cambridge who I love seeing at other tournaments, and yeah, we just like, but going with Cobra Bubbles, Ashbo, and Kami Kami, like being able to just do that on a Saturday, uh, is like makes the world a difference. So I had a really fun time, and that's kind of why I wanted to do like this little video because yeah, because it is about like getting excited about going to organized play, even if you don't win, which I didn't do well at all. um, I had an absolute blast and like amazing and continually surprised by just how lovely everyone is. So yeah, um, there's yeah, regionals in Cambridge in September, nationals in Cambridge in November. So very excited about all of that. Um, and yeah, we're traveling around tomorrow. There's a London tournament coming up. There's a big online one the same day. So not sure which one of those I'm going to do, but I'll do one of them. Uh, and yeah, uh, yeah, that's basically everything from the tournament report. Um, gonna work on my corp decks, try and find something I like. But yeah, thank you for watching.